My fork pauses midair, heavy with sweet potato casserole, as my father's words cut through the soft clinking of our Thanksgiving meal. You're just a leech. It's time you left this house. The sweet potato now seems strange, unappealing. The dining room falls into a hush so deep I hear the antique clock ticking in the living room. A clock I paid to fix last month. I glance up, seeking something, anything, in my mother's expression. But Denise focuses on her plate, shifting green beans she hasn't eaten. Across the table, my 17-year-old sister Tessa's wide eyes lock onto her half-empty water glass. What stings most about this betrayal is its timing. I spent all morning in the kitchen, basting the turkey, mashing potatoes, baking 3 kinds of pies while they watched football. Just 20 minutes earlier, I'd shared news of my work promotion. Now, as steam curls from the meal I cooked, my father declares me unwelcome. The irony isn't lost on me. My name is on the electric bill keeping these lights on, the water bill filling the glasses on this table, the grocery receipt for every bite of this dinner, and the insurance statement for my mother's doctor visit last week. Yet, somehow I'm the burden. 3 months ago, when Mom lost her accounting job, I stepped up without question. Bills piled up faster than excuses, and Frank's part-time hardware store job barely covered the mortgage. I took on everything else: utilities, groceries, car insurance, even Mom's medical costs. Each month, as more accounts shifted to my name, Dad grew colder, more resentful. His signature, once essential for everything in this house, became less relevant, his control slipping. 2 weeks ago, I overheard him talking to Mr. Simmons next door, his voice drifting through the open kitchen window. "It's not right," he grumbled, leaning on the fence. "A man losing his household's control. She acts like she runs the place now." I didn't realize he meant me until he said my name. Now, Frank stares at me, jaw tight, waiting for tears or arguments. When I resume eating, his knuckles tighten around his fork. The sweet potato tastes bland, but I chew deliberately, swallow, and take another bite. "Did you hear me?" His voice rises, thick with frustration. "You need to be gone by the weekend." My hands shake slightly, not from fear, but from something deeper, something shifting within. I set my fork down, place my napkin beside my plate, and meet his gaze. I understand perfectly. Those 3 words linger in the air, calm, almost reflective, not tearful or angry. Frank blinks, clearly unsettled by my composure. The silence stretches until Mom finally speaks, not in my defense. "Blair," she says, her voice quick and hushed, "you'll still cover the medical insurance this month, right? I have that appointment Tuesday." And there it is. The truth sharpens into painful clarity. Not a daughter, just a financial resource. Not family, just a signature on checks. I stand, gathering my plate and Tessa's empty glass. "Of course, Mom," I reply, my voice steady despite the hollow ache spreading in my chest. "I'll handle it before I leave." As I head to the kitchen, my mind lists everything in this house tied to my name: the internet I upgraded for Tessa's schoolwork, the refrigerator I replaced in July when the old one failed, the utility accounts I took over when disconnection notices arrived. At the sink I rinse my plate, scraping uneaten food into the garbage disposal. Through the kitchen window, I see my car in the driveway, the one thing I own outright, unconnected to this house. At least I'll have that when I go. Behind me, Tessa's chair scrapes the floor as she brings her plate to the sink. She avoids my eyes, but her fingertips graze my wrist for a fleeting moment. The closest thing to support I've felt in months. The digital clock on my nightstand flashes 1:18 a.m. as I fold another sweater into my suitcase. Sleep feels out of reach with Frank's words still echoing. I've been packing for hours, my movements mechanical while my thoughts race. Reaching for the financial documents in my desk drawer. Insurance statements, utility bills, grocery receipts. I plan to sort what I'll take, but beneath them, I find a bank statement with Frank's name. Odd. I haven't seen paper statements in months. Everything went digital after Mom's job loss. I pull it out, then another and another, a small stack spanning the last 3 months. All for an account I've never seen. An account with a balance that grows monthly while I've drained my savings to keep the lights on. My hands tremble as I sink onto the bed's edge. The statements blur until I blink hard, focusing on the numbers $4 in July, $5 in August, nearly $7 now. Flipping through the papers, I find a boat dealer's brochure with Frank's notes scrawled in the margins: down payment $5,500, circled in blue ink, scheduled delivery after Thanksgiving, underlined twice. A fishing boat. While I've paid for Mom's doctor visits and Tessa's school internet, there's more. A notepad with dates, November utility due dates, my name with question marks, after bills paid, written and underlined. They've been planning this for weeks, waiting until I covered November's bills before pushing me out. A soft knock breaks my thoughts. Tessa slips through the barely open door, her eyes wide as she takes in the packed boxes and suitcases. "You're really leaving?" she asks, lingering near the door as if ready to flee. I sit amid proof of my family's betrayal while Tessa stands, one hand on the doorknob. The power imbalance strikes me, her freedom to walk away, my forced exit. Dad didn't leave me much choice, I say, tucking the bank statements into my purse. Tessa chews her lip. "Mom said they need your room for storage now that Dad's getting that boat." The casual confirmation hits like a slap. Boat. The fishing boat he put a deposit on last month. Tessa's voice drops to a whisper. "I overheard them planning this weeks ago, how they'd wait until you paid November's bills." "You knew?" The betrayal grows, its tendrils reaching even Tessa, her eyes well with tears. "I was scared to tell you. Dad said anyone who warned you would be next." I want to be angry, but her fear is too real. She's still a child in the same manipulative house I'm escaping. "There's more," she says, glancing at the hallway. "Those medical appointments Mom's been having. The ones you've paid for with your insurance." "What about them?" "Last week, she came home with puffy lips. She told Dad the doctor said no drinking through straws for 2 days." Tessa mimics Mom's signature eye roll. "It wasn't a checkup, Blair. It was fillers." The room tilts slightly. I've eaten ramen 3 times a week to stretch my budget, while my mother gets cosmetic procedures on my insurance. I open my bank app, showing Tessa my balance $763.42. 3 months ago, I had over $9,000 saved. "This is what's left after covering everything here," I tell her. 1 more month and I'd have nothing. The gravity of my situation solidifies as I speak. I've been on the edge of financial ruin, pouring everything into a family that sees me as an ATM. Dad said if you try to take any furniture, he'll report you for theft. Tessa says, "Even the stuff you bought." Of course he did. I glance at the desk I bought when I started working from home during the pandemic, the bookshelf I assembled, the bedding from my first paycheck. He also called the bank today about removing your name from the utility accounts. The urgency hits me. I need to secure housing, protect my remaining finances, and untangle myself from family accounts before they do more damage. I pull a shoebox from under my bed, filled with receipts for everything I've bought for the house. Organized, dated, with credit card statements attached, the desk, the new refrigerator, Tessa's laptop, the living room carpet, even utility bills with my name as the account holder. A small triumph in this sea of betrayal. Proof I'm not imagining things, that I've carried this household while they schemed. Tessa watches me sort the receipts, her expression unreadable. "Blair," she asks finally. "Yes, what would you do in my place? If you had to choose between standing up for what's right and keeping peace in the only home you have?" As I sort receipts in the middle of the night, I face a hard choice: confront them with evidence of their manipulation or leave quietly, letting them face the consequences alone. Standing up might bring closure, but a quiet exit avoids painful confrontation. What would you do when those who should love you unconditionally value only what you provide? I look at my sister, trapped in the same toxic home I'm escaping, and realize I don't have an easy answer for either of us. 3 days later, during my lunch break at my part-time job, Aunt Phyllis' voice crackles through the phone, each word sharp as a slap. "Honestly, Blair, I never thought you'd abandon your parents when they needed you most." I grip the phone tighter, my knuckles whitening. 3 days since Thanksgiving, and Frank has already spun his version of events for the family. "Did Dad mention he kicked me out?" I ask, keeping my tone even. "He said you left them high and dry after a minor disagreement." She replies, her voice heavy with judgment. "They're holding a family meeting at my house this weekend to discuss your behavior." Of course they are. A public stage where they control the story. I'm sure they are, I say, ending the call before she can respond. After my shift, I sink onto the edge of Drew's pull-out couch, now my temporary bed, My life fits into 4 hastily packed boxes and 2 suitcases stacked against the wall. Everything that didn't fit waits in my car downstairs. 25 years reduced to what I could grab in 2 frantic hours while my parents were at church. My phone buzzes with another text from a cousin who's heard I've broken Mom's heart. I don't open it. The constant notifications spark new anxiety, each alert making my heart race, wondering which relative will attack next. When Drew returns from her hospital shift, she finds me cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by paperwork. Operation Financial Freedom going well, she asks, dropping her bag by the door. Almost done. I tap my pen against a notebook of account numbers. I've canceled automatic payments for their utilities, removed myself from their cell phone plan, and called to take my name off their internet service. I don't mention how the customer service rep laughed when I explained I was voluntarily removing myself from responsibility for my parents' bills. Good, Drew says, sitting beside me. Your parents can sort out their own mess. The weight of starting over presses against my chest. My savings account balance would make financial advisors cringe. 3 months of covering my family's expenses has left me with barely enough for a security deposit, let alone first and last month's rent. You sure your roommate doesn't mind me staying here? I ask. Max? He's thrilled. The front door swings open, and Max bursts in with his giant golden retriever bounding ahead. Blair, Max announces. Meet the world's worst therapist, but he works for treats. He tosses a tennis ball across the apartment and Baxter chases it, all flailing paws and wagging tail. The dog returns, dropping the slobbery ball in my lap with expectant eyes. He thinks you need this more than he does, Max says, his expression serious despite the moment's absurdity. Sometimes the best therapy has 4 legs and bad breath. When Baxter nudges my hand with his wet nose, I laugh for the first time in days, a sound that feels almost foreign. 5 days after my escape, I sit at Drew's kitchen table, laptop open to job listings that might offer better pay. My current job covers basics, but not the emergency fund I'll need to rebuild. My phone lights up with my mother's name. I consider letting it go to voicemail, but something urges me to answer. What have you done? Denise's voice is sharp, panicked. The power's out, the internet's down, and my insurance was declined at my appointment. I take a slow breath, feeling oddly calm. I stopped paying for things that aren't my responsibility. But you can't just leave us like this? We're your family! The desperation in her voice might have swayed me once, but now I hear the manipulation beneath it. Family doesn't call family a Leech at Thanksgiving dinner. I say, surprised by my voice's steadiness. Your father didn't mean it, she says, her tone softening, placating. You know how he gets? I do know. That's the problem. I end the call and set my phone down carefully, as if it might burn me. Later that evening, Drew leans over my shoulder as I create new passwords for my email and banking accounts. I noticed some suspicious login attempts on your accounts, she says, pointing to security alerts. We should set up fraud alerts, just to be safe. The contrast strikes me. Drew asks before borrowing my charging cable, while my family felt entitled to everything I owned. Even now, she stands a respectful distance away, waiting for my response instead of taking the laptop to do it herself. Good idea, I say. Thanks. That night, I scroll through apartment listings within my budget, mostly small studios, but they represent something I've never fully had a space entirely mine, where no one can say I don't belong. I don't ask anyone's opinion about neighborhoods or worry if the kitchens suit family gatherings. The choices are mine alone. The next morning, I visit a local credit union and open a new account in just my name. I transfer every penny from my old account, the one my parents know about. My phone pings with a text from Tessa. Mom's looking for your banking info. Says she needs to check something. Don't trust her. I've barely finished reading when notifications flood in. 6 missed calls from home in the last hour. An email arrives simultaneously. Fraud alert. Password reset attempt on your banking app. I stare at the screen, anger rising like a tide. They're not just guilting me to return. They're trying to take what little I have left. A day later, the bank representative's concerned tone feels oddly validating. Miss Mitchell, we've blocked 3 password reset attempts from your parents' address in the last 24 hours. I pace Drew's spare bedroom, my temporary sanctuary. gripping the phone tighter. You're certain they can't access anything? Positive. We flagged your account for enhanced security. Any changes require in-person verification with photo ID. My chest eases slightly as I thank her and end the call, noting her name in my growing documentation notebook. Methodical calls yield similar results: credit card secured, utilities officially removed from my name, medical insurance accounts protected with extra verification. The electric company rep sounded almost impressed. Smart move contacting us. Your mother tried reinstating service in your name without authorization yesterday. Each confirmation builds a wall between my old life and what's next. Not a wall of anger, though it simmers, but of protection, solid and entirely my own. Drew appears in the doorway with a steaming mug. Tea with honey. Thought you'd need it after those calls. I take it gratefully, wrapping my hands around its warmth. Last one done. No one can access or change anything without my approval now. Drew nods. How does it feel? Before I can answer, a thunderous pounding shakes the apartment door. The tea sloshes over my fingers as Drew and I exchange startled glances. Blair! My father's voice booms through the wood. Open this door now. Drew motions for me to stay, but I'm already moving. This confrontation has been inevitable since I left. The pounding grows louder, each blow like a physical strike. Through the peephole, I see Frank's flushed, rage-contorted face, the same look he's given bill collectors, telemarketers, and now me. I know you're in there! Another series of blows makes the door frame shudder. You think you can abandon your family and ruin our lives. A door opens across the hall, and Mrs. Perkins, the retiree who baked cookies for Drew when he moved in, peers out cautiously. Her eyes widen at Frank's shouting. Young man, she calls, her voice trembling but firm. I've already called building security. Frank turns on her. Mind your own business, lady. This is between me and my daughter. Your behavior is my business when it disturbs the peace, she retorts, pulling her robe tighter. Frank faces the door again, his voice dropping to a menacing tone. Blair, if you don't open this door right now, I'll... The threat becomes action as he steps back and kicks the door, splintering the wood around the lock. Mrs. Perkins gasps and retreats inside. My hands shake as I dial 911, speaking quietly to the dispatcher while Frank continues his assault. Through the damaged wood, I hear the elevator ding, then heavy footsteps. Sir. Step away from the door immediately. A security guard's authoritative voice cuts through Frank's shouts. This is my daughter's place! I have every right. You have no right to damage property or disturb residents. Police are on their way. Frank's response drowns in approaching sirens. Minutes later, through the peephole, I watch two officers escort my father down the hallway, wrists cuffed, still shouting that I'm destroying our family. When Officer Rodriguez returns to take my statement, I recount the financial manipulation, unauthorized access attempts, and today's outburst with the same calm precision as in my documentation notebook. Would you like to press charges for the attempted break-in? He asks. The question lingers as Drew returns from speaking with building management about the door. Yes, I say, the words small but firm, and I'd like to file for a restraining order. Later, as I watch the police car drive away with my father in the back, I wonder, was filing a report too harsh for years of manipulation, or was it necessary to protect myself from further harm? Drew squeezes my shoulder. Max is bringing home security cameras for the entrance. We'll set them up tonight. I nod, grateful for support that asks nothing in return. My phone buzzes with a text from Tessa. Mom took your laptop and camera from your room. Said they're collateral for what you owe them. The message sinks like a stone in my stomach. More theft atop years of emotional robbery. I reply quickly, do you know where she took them? Tessa's response is instant. Heard her on the phone with Parkway Pawn. Said she got $300 for both. I showed Drew the message, anger rising hot in my throat. Those were worth over $2,000. Do you have receipts, serial numbers? I nod, thinking of my meticulous tax documentation. Everything. An hour later, Officer Williams takes my theft report seriously, reviewing my purchase receipts and noting serial numbers. Pawning someone else's property is a criminal offense, she says, her tone professional but kind. We'll contact the shop and recover your items. The system, so often stacked against me, now works in my favor. A strange reversal that leaves me lightheaded with possibility. That evening, My phone lights up with calls from relatives I haven't spoken to in months. Aunt Sarah's voicemail is the first I hear. Blair. Honey, I heard about Frank's arrest. I'm so sorry. We had no idea things were so bad. The neighbors who saw Frank's outburst have shared their accounts, cracking the facade my parents built. The story spreads, shifting the narrative they tried to control. As I help Max mount a security camera above Drew's door, another text from my mother arrives. Her casual entitlement makes my jaw clench. I had to pawn your camera and laptop to cover the electric bill you left us with. Parkway Pawn on 4th Street. You owe me $300 plus interest. I pass the phone to Drew, who reads it and shakes her head. The delusion is almost impressive. She mutters, handing it back. I save the message as evidence, my anger not at her audacity, but at how long I believed I deserved this treatment. The realization hardens into resolve as I finish securing the camera that will catch any future attempts to cross my new boundaries. This time, I'm the one watching. My phone vibrates on the coffee table, my mother's name flashing. I've been expecting this call. 3 days since I filed the theft report, and they're ready to negotiate. Blair. Mom's voice wavers slightly. I've been thinking, and I want to propose a compromise. I stay silent, letting the pause stretch. In the background, the same game show that filled our living room every weekday plays. If you drop that ridiculous theft report, you can come back home, she says, clearing her throat. We'll let you stay, of course. Your room's just as you left it. The rehearsed tone is unmistakable. I imagine Dad nearby, nodding at her performance. And Blair. She continues when I don't reply. We're concerned about your state of mind lately. Frank and I think you might be having a breakdown. That's something our family and friends would understand better than what you're claiming happened. The threat lands clearly. Drop the charges or be labeled unstable. I take a slow breath. I have copies of every bill I've paid for 6 months, I say, my voice even. Bank statements showing transfers to your account. Text messages asking me to pay for your cosmetic procedures you claimed were medical necessities. I pause. Would you like me to present that as evidence? The silence on her end speaks volumes. The next morning, Officer Williams follows my car to my parents' house. Her cruiser in the driveway sends a message to neighbors who've heard my father's lies. As we approach the front door, I notice curtains twitching across the street. Mom answers, her smile faltering when she sees the officer. Mrs. Mitchell. Officer Williams says, I'm here to accompany Blair while she retrieves her belongings. Inside, the house feels smaller than I remember. Mom hovers as I head to my bedroom, Officer Williams close behind. I've prepared copies of all my financial contributions. I tell the officer, handing her a folder. Utilities, groceries, medical bills, the refrigerator I bought in July, all with receipts. Officer Williams flips through the pages, her eyebrows rising. You paid for all this while living here? Yes, for 6 months since my mother lost her job. Mom appears in the doorway, arms crossed. That furniture belongs to the family, Blair. You can't take everything. I pull a stack of receipts from my bag and hold them up. I have receipts for everything I'm taking. Want to see them? Officer Williams studies Mom's face, then glances at the records. Her surprise is clear. Mrs. Mitchell, these documents show your daughter has been supporting this household almost entirely. Mom's mouth opens, then closes. She retreats down the hallway without a word. I pack methodically, books, clothes, items undeniably mine. Through my bedroom window, I see neighbors watching from porches pretending to water plants or check mail. Let them see. Let them know the truth. As I load the last box into my car, an engine sound draws my attention. My other car, the one I left at Drew's, pulls into the driveway, my father behind the wheel. My stomach drops. The spare key. I'd forgotten the emergency spare I gave them. Dad steps out, jingling my keys with a triumphant look. We need to discuss what you owe us before you take this too, he says, gesturing to the car I'm about to drive. I set down my box and pull a folder from my purse. This is the title to that car, I say, holding up the paper, and the registration, both in my name. Officer Williams steps forward. Sir, that vehicle is registered to Blair. Hand over the keys immediately. The color drains from Dad's face as he looks from the documents to the officer. His hand tightens around the keys. I paid for her college, her braces, 18 years of The keys, Mr. Mitchell. Officer Williams extends her hand. Slowly, Dad's fingers uncurl. The keys drop into her palm with a soft jingle. As she hands them to me, I see something new. My father, who loomed over our family for decades, looks small, diminished. Come near me or my property again, I say, my voice clear and calm. I'll file for a restraining order. I slide into my car, adjust the mirror and turn the key. As I pull away, I see neighbors watching. Witnesses to the final act of our family drama. Henderson next door doesn't even pretend to check her mailbox, standing on her lawn, phone in hand, already spreading the news. In my rearview mirror, Tessa appears in the doorway, caught between worlds. One foot in the house with our parents, one hand raised in a tentative wave. Her face holds sorrow and something else, admiration, maybe. The strength she hasn't yet found. 3 blocks away, my phone buzzes with a text from Tessa. They're blaming me now. What do? The light ahead turns red. I press the brake and stare at the screen, watching 3 dots appear as she types, then vanish. My sister, the one innocent in this, now stands where I once did, carrying the weight of our parents' manipulation. The light turns green, but I stay still. Cars honking behind me as I consider what's next. Sunlight filters through gauzy curtains I picked myself, casting warm patterns across my apartment's hardwood floors. 3 months since I drove away from my parents' house with Officer Williams' card in my wallet, and the difference still surprises me. I run my fingers along my desk's edge, where bills, electricity, water, internet, renter's insurance, all in my name, fan out like cards, all within my budget. No one else's financial emergencies hide among the envelopes. My bank statement lies open beside them, the balance growing modestly but steadily each month. The emergency fund I drained for my family is rebuilding. 6 months of security is my goal, and I've reached 2. The quiet joy of making choices without justifying them feels like a luxury I'm still adjusting to. Last weekend, I painted an accent wall deep teal without seeking permission or hearing I'd regret it. The freedom in small decisions feels immense. A year later, my apartment hums with laughter and conversation. I slide a golden, brown turkey onto my dining table, smaller than last year's but perfectly cooked. The irony of hosting Thanksgiving isn't lost on me. Can I help with anything? Tessa asks, lingering uncertainly by the kitchen counter. My sister looks different. Taller, though she hasn't grown. Maybe it's the confidence emerging from our parents' shadow. Your company's enough, I say, the words flowing easily. How different from the mental ledger I once kept, measuring my worth by what I gave. I move through my space with ease that felt impossible last November. The dishes don't match perfectly, the table's secondhand, but everything is truly mine. Chosen with care, not obligation. Drew raises her glass as we gather at the table. To found family and boundaries worth keeping. Max and Tessa raise their glasses in return. My sister has thrived since moving into her college dorm 3 months ago. I helped her with financial aid forms and housing applications, my own journey's lessons becoming her stepping stones. Later, as we sort through scholarship applications at my kitchen counter, Tessa shares the latest family update. They lost the house last month, she says quietly. Dad still blames the bank, the economy, everyone but himself. They're with Uncle Rick, but he's hinting they need to find their own place. I nod, glancing at 5 unopened envelopes from my parents on my bookshelf. Setting boundaries doesn't mean I never wonder what they say. They still blame you for everything. Tessa continues, her pen tapping the scholarship form. But honestly, they're just facing what would have happened anyway. Your money only delayed the inevitable. I help her highlight a key section on the housing assistance form, thinking of choices and consequences. As I've helped Tessa build her independent life, I've sometimes wondered if I should respond to my parents' attempts to reconnect. Is complete separation the healthiest choice when family has betrayed you so deeply, or is there value in limited contact on your terms? What would you do when those who should have protected you want back into your life after you've found peace without them?